This video is gonna be a little bit of a different video. It's gonna be a talk, like a raw talk. There's not a lot of things happening, but I really want to make this video because a lot of people in the comments of the recent vlogs asked me about, hey, can you explain how you get into these songwriting camps? Hey, how did you get started making music? So, and seeing all those comments, I want to like make one video where I reply to everybody. So I'm just gonna talk about how I got started making music, how I got my first publishing deal, where I'm now and where I'm heading next. So this video is not to brag about anything. I just want to talk about my life story, about how I got started, and yeah, this is it. Actually, when I think about my musical background, there's like not really anything. I mean, I used to play a little bit of piano when I was growing up, but the only thing I remember is that I remembered how to play the keys, but I never could like read any papers. So going back to the music thing, actually when I was in school, because I got signed when I was 17, and when I was in school before, like around like 14, 15, 16, after school I used to like watch a lot of different YouTube videos, and there was like always new recommended videos, and a lot of them were like, hey, this is how you make a lot of money, and this is how you get like, try dropshipping and try this and that. So I used to watch a lot of these videos, which actually got me interested in, as I've just said, dropshipping, and I've tried a lot of different things before I fell into music. Yeah, I tried app design, I tried website design, and I programmed for a little while with a good friend of mine together. Like we programmed some apps for like our school back in the days, but none of it really like fulfilled me, and like it was fun for a moment, but I was always on the lookout for something new. Every time I was open to trying new things. And this was when I found this YouTube video where actually it was in FL Studio, and it was like something about rapping or something. Like somebody explained FL Studio, and I was like, all right, I think I can try that. And from that point on, I wanted to become a German rapper, because I thought it's gonna be like really like easy. I don't know. I like to be very naive sometimes. So I actually went to my mom and I told her like, hey mom, I think I'm gonna be a rapper now. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, can you even sing? I'm like, no, but there's autotune. I was really confident in like doing this kind of, like I really wanted to try it, but obviously I was really bad in the beginning. And I didn't even produce in the beginning. Like there's things on the internet called type beats. You probably know. Like when you type in, for example, Drake type beat or Kid Leroy type beat, there's like certain beats or like productions already that you can download and then you can sing over. And this was mainly the last, like before I got signed, that's what I did for probably 2 years. When I used to live with my parents. In the basement, I had my own studio space where I recorded like a lot of different musics. You know, like English, German, rap, hip-hop, EDM, like kind of everything, you know, like because in the beginning you just try around. Like there was no objective of me making this professionally, or I don't know, I just wanted to do it, and I didn't want to do anything else. I still had my friends, obviously, but I never really did like friends stuff. Like I was out occasionally, but I rather stayed at home to kind of make these songs. At one point my mom was like, hey, like school was about to end. At that point I was like 17, and she's like, yeah, school's about to like be finished, what do you want to do? Like you do all these songs but nobody knows, and we love your music. Like my parents always supported me, which I'm really, really grateful for. But she was like, you have to show the world what you're doing, because I was always doing it for me, and I showed my friends sometimes like some songs, and I tried promoting it as well sometimes, but it never really worked out. So I was like, all right, I'm just doing it for me. And she was like, no, you need to show it to the world. So I was like, all right, let's just try it, you know. So I actually, one day I sat down, I tried to find as many emails of German producers, songwriters, singers, like everything I could find. Like I had a list of like 100 emails of different people. Okay, not 100, but like a lot of different emails. And one by one, I had like 3 or 4 demo songs, which I cut down to like 30 seconds, and it was like different stuff. It was like German stuff, English stuff, EDM, like also hip-hop, but EDM as well. I made it like a cool 30-second snippet, and at the end I had like a reverb fade out, so it sounded like a complete song, but it wasn't really. It was like 30 seconds because I wanted to make it quick so they can listen to all the little snippets and demos. So basically that day I just sent out all the different emails to everybody, then didn't expect anything to happen. Nothing really happened for a long time. You know, like after the first 3-4 months, nothing's really happened. But then on one day, I remember I was actually on the way down because I was in the basement. My parents were on the first floor. So I was actually going down the staircase, and in that moment, the Wi-Fi was a little bit enough that I could read the email. And I got an email from Sonos. He's like a German producer. He produced like a lot of different big German rappers, which I at the time really looked up to, and they're really still really respected, and I respect them as well. So it was kind of like a hero moment for me. And I remember it read like something along the lines like, hey, I listened to your demos, I really like it, can we meet? Or like, what's your Instagram? You should come to Berlin, we want to invite you to Berlin. I was like, no way this worked. So I actually, I ran out the house, and I actually called like one of my best friends. I was like, oh my God, you know what happened? He's like, what happened? Like, Sonos replied. I was like, no way, bro, that's crazy. And I immediately wrote back, and then after like, I don't know, 2-3 weeks went by, and I actually went to Berlin and had my first experience, like how it is here, how the people work, and everything was so overwhelming. You know, like at the time I was also 17, so everything was like so new and fresh. Maybe I was 16, like 16 or 17, I don't know. And I've got to meet, like, I saw all these plaques on the walls, and all these people that I've always like kind of heard of in the charts, but I've never really like seen anything like really close. And all of a sudden everything felt so reachable, like so not like, when you think about all the different people you want to meet, like it's so far out of reach, you know? And at that point, everything felt so obtainable somehow. Yeah, I've got to meet a lot of different people, like cool songwriters, cool artists that I've always looked up to. And we had like a few sessions here and there. Yeah, we kept working, and I traveled back and forth between Berlin and my hometown. It was like 4 hours away, like train ride. Sometimes my dad would come as well, and we would drive with the car. And then he would stay with me at a hotel, and then we would go back. Yeah, that happened, but nothing really sustainable came out of it. Like, I had these sessions, which was cool, and I got to meet a lot of different people, but nothing really that was sticking. I think after 6 or 7 months after I initially wrote all these emails, there were 2 other producers which replied, and they're a producer team, and they were called Keelan and Joe. And at the time, I didn't know who Keelan and Joe was at all. Like, was like, all right, whatever, you know. And I looked them up on Instagram, and I saw that they produced one of my favorite German singers, who's called Mayan at the time. And it was like, oh, crazy, you know. I know these, like, they did all these crazy hit songs, and they produce a lot of English dance music. So I was like, all right, cool. So we basically did the same thing. So my dad wrote me here to Berlin, a lot of back and forth. It was like over a year. Like, we worked sometimes, and then sometimes 3 months went by and we didn't work at all, or never messaged. And then occasionally there was a spot free where we worked for like 2-3 days with like cool songwriters. And at the time I was singing, actually, so I wasn't really producing anything. So I was mainly there to be the artist, to be the singer. And we tried out a different few things. Like, I did English songs, I did German songs. I remember at that time already I was really like almost finished with school. I was about to start my, not the university. Like in Germany there's a thing called Ausbildung. So it's basically Ausbildung, not the English version, Ausbildung. Because after school you have to do something, either study or work. And I chose work because I really wasn't not a school kid at all. Like, I hated school, and it's a whole different topic. But basically I had that job already fixated. 3-4 months before actually school ended, I had one last session with Keelan and Joe in Berlin. And I told them my story, you know, like, hey, I'm about to start working, and I can only do the weekends if we want to start working together, because during the week I have to work, you know. And I knew at the time they were on tour a lot, so they were on tour during the weekends a lot as well. So this would make it really hard to work with them. And I talked with Keelan, and he was like, yeah, I see the problem, and this is what's gonna happen. And I was like, all right, cool. We actually talked for a few hours, and I was like, all right, cool. Like, then me and my friend, we went back home. And actually the next day, the following day, I got a phone call from Keelan, and he was like, hey, I have this publishing deal with BMG. If you want, you can take it. If you don't, that's all right. I was like, bro, 100% I want to take it, you know. I was still in my hometown, and like, this was like one of the, like, probably one of the biggest like turnarounds to date, I would say. This is the moment I got signed to BMG. So we made everything ready to go, I went to my workplace and actually like canceled. I was like, hey, I'm going to study, because I didn't want to tell them that I'm doing music, because at that point I was still very secretive about what I do and what actually happens, because I didn't really want to show anybody too much, because it felt like, to me, I would make myself more vulnerable, open for like fires and like opinions, and I didn't want to know anybody's opinion except my parents, and they already knew what was going on. So I actually told the job place, hey, I'm going to study, I didn't want to like pursue this anymore, and they were like, all right, cool. So I canceled that, and actually the following weeks I scouted a lot of different places in Berlin where I could move to, because I really needed to move to Berlin, because over the last 2 years at that point I knew that the whole music industry is in Berlin, especially when it comes to like German music, obviously, and also, which I didn't know at the time, a lot of English dance music, which we will come back to. So I moved to Berlin, and I was 19 at the time. So I got my publishing deal. I got the first like advance, which I could like I could buy my house, I can rent the house now. I bought the furniture for the place. My parents also supported me at the time a little bit as well. So we drove back and forth. They helped me with a lot of different things. Yeah, I wasn't really in Berlin. I found a place a little bit outside of Berlin, because it was so hard to find something, and I really had the pressure to move by the end of the year, and it was already like September, October-ish. So I wanted to move there as soon as possible, because I wanted to get as much opportunities as possible. Then I was in Berlin, and then I thought now everything is gonna change, but it didn't. Like the first half a year was like pretty slow, empty, because I thought that now everything's gonna change and I'm gonna get a lot of different sessions and I'm gonna meet a lot of different people, but this wasn't the case. And I knew nobody except Keelan and Joe when I moved to Berlin, and they were very, very busy producers. So there was only like little time slots where they had time for me. And at the time, remember still, I was signed as a singer. So, and I had nothing to do with production other than recording myself. Like I knew some recording plugins, and I was just recording myself on... Actually not this microphone, I bought this microphone after, but on this like stand with like my mic, and I was just sitting here, but with these speakers actually. Like these speakers are still from my hometown. Yeah, I wasn't really like into production at all, but out of necessity, because Keelan and Joe didn't have really time for me, that I tried to learn how I can produce my own songs. So I explored this whole other thing of like music where I was just producing, and I fell in love with producing even more than even singing at all, which was funny. And then I started producing more and more and more, and through mutual contracts from back in the day, I knew a rapper, and she was kind of on the come up at the time, and they needed somebody to record their vocals, And I was like, perfect. I have so much experience recording vocals. I know how vocals need to sound, and they hired me for a few months, and that's how I got like some few contacts in Berlin. A big turning point for me was when Joe, the other part, like Keelan and Joe, they are a producer duo, and Joe was living in a shared apartment, and he was moving out with like his girlfriend. They were like moving somewhere else. This is when he asked me like, hey, do you want to like move into my apartment with these other producers? I was like, hell yeah, like, because the apartment was in the middle of Berlin, and this was like actually what I really wanted to live by. Like the Berlin kind of feeling was actually in that apartment. So I was like, oh yeah, I really want to move in. I think this was one of the biggest turning points in my career and also my life, because I got to meet one of the best friends that I've currently living together still, like, and they are all producers and creatives. Yeah, through that I got a lot of different opportunities to meet new people, different opportunities to get to know a lot of different producers as well, but also songwriters who I could also work with and have sessions with. And I kind of worked my way up a little bit, like doing sessions more and more, and then through this person that knows another person, and then when you kind of have good songs and you're in sessions, you can kind of like with the knowledge you have, you kind of like show what you can do, Like if you're a really good producer, that's what I want to tell effectively. If you're a really good producer, then all these opportunities come like on their own, Like you just try to deliver as best of a production as you can and be as fast as possible, which really, really helps. Like in sessions, you have to be really fast, Because it's not only you, it's like a different person, and then more than often it's like another person or like 3 other people, like songwriters, and there's like sometimes multiple songwriters and one artist. And it has to be like really quick, you know, when they have like, I don't know, when they have like an idea or like a melody phrase they want to like punch in. Like you can't just wait and take like 10 minutes to put everything on and the vocal sounds like crap. You know, it has to really sound really, really good in 2 seconds. So this is what you learn over time when you do a lot of different sessions with different people. Yeah, now I'm kind of like at this point where my publishing deal is about to end. You know, it's like the end of the 3rd year and I'm not getting any more advances. So I'm at this point where I'm kind of like having to survive a little bit on everything that I've built over the last 3 years, which is still okay, but it's like reserves you have built, you know, and when you don't do any more productions, then these reserves kind of shrink. I'm really excited to kind of show you guys what else is going on. Like the newest vlogs is basically the newest thing that's happening in my life. Like I've gotten a lot of opportunities to work at songwriting camps, which is always fun to meet different people and really like hone down on the music aspect. Like you do a lot of different songs in one day. Yeah, this is kind of how I got signed in the first place, how I got all my connections. Like it's basically through a lot of different outreaches. Like you just reach out to a lot of different people, a lot of different musicians that you always looked up to, you know. Like I can like write that email, you know, or write that DM. Like more than often people reply, you know, because when I get DMs on Instagram or like comments, I see everything. I see I check through the Instagram DMs or the emails, and I really am happy that like I get so much good feedback for these videos, and I really appreciate every single one of you guys. Reaching out to people is now easier than ever. Yeah, I think this is all I wanted to say. So now you know a little bit of how this whole story unraveled, and hopefully I could answer some of these questions that were in the air from a lot of different people in the comments. If I should like narrow down a little bit more on like some ideas or like be more specific about certain things, please let me know down below so I can make follow-up videos, or I can just reply in the comments. Like if you want to know more specific stuff, and also if you want to see more of how I produce, like I'm really happy to share how I do sessions or what plugins I love to use. Like I don't know, like I really want to be as open as possible and show everything, you know, all my sample packs. Like I've curated my own packs over the times. Yeah, if you want to know anything about that, please let me know. Like this should be a really safe space, safe YouTube channel where hopefully the nerds in the world can like collectively be united, and we just talk about musical like all time, every day. And yeah, I hope this helped somehow. And yeah, as I've said, if you want to know anything else, let me know. And I wish you a very, very good day. Thank you guys. See ya.